If we look at the lyrics of Momus' recent album, The Little Red Songbook, we can see, "I'm sorry, but a respectable Japanese girl cannot talk about such things. Excuse me."
There's a song you might think is quite crazy, a crazy subject to choose, called Coming in a Girl's Mouth. The first line is, what's the cultural significance of coming in a girl's mouth? And he goes on to discuss what it might be. Is it a test? You know, is it a test of what? Maybe not a test of love, maybe a test of power, who knows? But he's got this mad line about saying, you know, my cock is like John the Baptist saying, someday someone greater than me will come. It's such a daft joke, you know, it might spoil the whole thing. In fact, it very nearly does spoil the whole thing. But he sort of draws you into the reality of what is a subject that maybe is not the first thing that springs to mind. There's a moment where he talks about producing and giving the girl a funny, milky moustache, and he chuckles, or he giggles. But he's not actually giggling or chuckling with himself, and he's not doing it with you, he's actually doing it with her. And it's at that moment that you're kind of pulled into this scene as a voyeur. It makes it very real. It's really very clever. Whether it's something he should be doing or not, I don't know. But it sure works.
Welcome, if you will, to Unit 169, Human Sexual Positions in Rock. We're looking tonight at the 1980s provocative imp himself, Prince, and some of the sexual positions he threw on stage. We're looking particularly at a concert in which he sang his well-known song, It's Going to Be a Beautiful Night, in 1987, in which he first introduced the character of Electric Man. Now, from video reconstructions, we've actually made a choreography of the Electric Man sexual position. Now, the lyric, as you probably know, goes, some call me Prince, others call me Electric Man, because when I plug into your socket, I move you like nobody else can. Now, his position during these recitations was basically poised above the mic stand like this. Imagine the microphone, if you will, as a phallus, Prince himself thrusting while the rhythm section beat a very sexual tattoo. This was, I think you'll agree, one of the great moments of sexual positions in rock.
I think the reason Momus chooses to have dark sexual content in his lyrics is really because you're not supposed to. Songs are driven by sexual feelings. Whole industries of fashion and cosmetics are driven by sexual attraction, and yet somehow dealing with that directly is not on, it's not permitted. You take an example of a song like Coward of the County, big hit for Kenny Rogers. Central to that is a gang rape. The moral of the story is revenge is good. Anti-violence is bad, can be mistaken for cowardice. Now that is a #1 hit record, and it's a family favourite. Nobody complains. If Momus chooses to write about something that's directly sexual from his experience, people get upset. And I think the reason is he's simply highlighting that for us.
Mr. David Hamilton is photographing me down among the ladies, shooting with his Hasselblad beneath a willow tree. One foot in the river and brothers right retreating. Says the ghost and I fly the ghost and I long to strike another post. Rain begins to patter on the hips. Magicism, quasicism sans pornography. Mr. David Hamilton, LA. Mr. David Hamilton is photographing me like a provocative with his languid creature, sketching out to adolescent sexuality. Then nature looks for culture, culture looks for nature. His big umbrella flash goggles become to realize. is my cross, mustache under my deluxe. Romanticism quasi-citizen sans prendre un café. Mr. David Hamilton and me. In the south of France, I hear keeps the house swinging so strong. New neige cause let me can come alone. Staying back to 3 o'clock alone, the battery. He only asked for the 02. Society, Mr. David Trilling, don't you think it's silly? A tank of milk is like to share a provocative snow. Just to kill the lily, just to kill the lily. But if this lazy suffering can bring election to the law, or just one man in has been in vain. Mr. David Hamilton is photographing me. This begins to patter in a rain. Quasi-citizen for the coffee. Mr. David Hamilton, I guess.
Momus, as a musician, as a writer, as a performer, is coming from a tradition that goes right back to the turn of the century. It's an anti-authority, anti-establishment attitude. And in 1910 it was because Europe was turning into a kind of military theme park and the Great War was about to happen. And there were people there who were called the Expressionists in Germany who were rebelling against a kind of soggy, romantic respectability that led to a kind of tin pot nationalism. And individual artists were saying, hey, we're individuals. We don't have to tolerate this. Let's go back to the true source of emotion, and the true source of our humanity. And one of the guys who did that was a writer, painter called Oskar Kokoschka, who made a work called Murderer's Hope of Women. And it was a sensation, and people were aghast and appalled by this piece of work. It also happens to be the title of a song by Momus, and I think that tells us maybe where he's coming from.
Amongst the murderers, the hope of women, death in every new beginning. I must take this woman for my sentence of life. And she must take my knife.
Hello and welcome to Careers in Music, Unit 7. And this is a special program about an introduction to calculation. It's actually very important if you aspire to a career in the music industry to try and get into the habit of calculating a little bit every day. You should probably do this in a private place because it's not popular or useful for you to be seen to be calculating too much in public or in say, television studios, recording studios, the kind of places where you are in your role as a musician. But what's important is that you can use the results of that calculation. And the kind of things you should be calculating about are, for instance, what can we revive? What can we revive this year in pop music, or rock music in fact? Can we, for instance, is the time right yet for the Material Girl values of Madonna, say, from the 1980s, to be revived, relaunched as spruced commercial retro products? So basically set a little time aside. Think of it as something like yoga. You can actually be calculating your career every morning in a lotus position if you wish. And always remember that the long-term good investment rock career is one in which a group claims integrity, sincerity, and authenticity. Those are not at odds with calculation. It's simply a matter of your public pose and of never admitting that you're being ironic or that you're calculating the next revival strategy.
Momus has used his method of pop calculation successfully, and in the past, he has recycled elements of Serge Gainsbourg, the Pet Shop Boys, Beck, Howard Devoto, and Jack Brel to create his own sound.
He has come to bring you things that make you happy. A gigantic puppy made of living flowers. A balloon dog like a helium Brancusi. Baroque and Rococo Louis XIV. Basketballs are bouncing in Bavaria. They usher in a fat, contented pig, whose every hair is hand-carved by Italian master craftsmen. A porcelain Michael Jackson and bubbles in a wig. A box of Malta cereal, we mark it to the morning. A teddy bear policeman reprimands you with a warning. And all that's made in heaven falls apart. Pink and yellow arrows through your heart. Blue and yellow arrows through your heart. Green and yellow arrows through your heart. Mr. Coons with a swordfish. Pin the tail on Coons. President Coons on Mount Rushmore. The Klondike Trail by donkey. Context is a game that we can play. And art can help you have a better day. Panthers from the realm of the ephemeral. A friendly advertising testimonial. Botticelli hair, bread and butter wear. From the Klondike and the things you like to wear. Every time that it appears that happiness and fun are as far away as Jupiter and Mars. According to the lore of great philosophers, a shaman must appear amongst the stars. Must appear amongst the stars. A vacuum cleaner stands amongst the stars. From the realm of the commercial comes salvation. A two-dimensional color gradation. Plastic baboons, sugar spoons, Jeff Koons.
Thank you for traveling Beat Room International. We hope to see you again soon.